Commercials back in the 70s were scary. You remember that? You remember how scary commercials back in the 70s were? Every time you watched TV, you thought the commercials were going to jump out of the screen and go... That's how scary the commercials back in the 70s were. And I've got a list of several of them that were scary. That's right. The first time I remember being afraid of a TV commercial was back when I was about 3 years old. There was this Pepsi commercial. And this wasn't the one where George Washington goes, "Next time I'll try Pepsi." This was a different Pepsi commercial. There's this Pepsi commercial. It had the bottle. It looked scary because it showed like the bottle with the bottle cap and the condensation on the cap. And I remember being terrified of this commercial because of the way the cap shoots off. And I'd run out of the room. My mom would say, "Tim, that's just a commercial." But that was terrifying. But then I remember another one. There was another commercial that was scary back in the 70s when I was growing up. It was for Echo cookware. Remember this one? Now this was really scary. Now it is Echo cookware, and it shows the woman in the commercial flips the muffins up in the air, and then the muffins, they just freeze in midair. Now wasn't that scary? The one where the muffins freeze in midair in the Echo cookware commercial? There's a woman standing in front of a gray background doing that, going, and they would just freeze in midair. But then another one I remember is a commercial, Channel 12, locally. There's a local commercial. Channel 12 in Cincinnati had this commercial. I think it was for something called The Edge, and I don't know exactly what that was. And I remember it had like this creepy music that had like this build-up going like that. And I remember I would be trying to get to sleep. My mom would be in the living room watching TV, and I was in my bedroom. I was in the bedroom trying to get to sleep, and I'd hear that commercial come on. I'd be hiding under the covers and everything. Now see, they keep getting scarier. I'm building up to the progressively more scarier ones. Is that even proper grammar? But now here's another one. I think it was for Norelco or something. Now this is one, like it was for a razor. I think it was Norelco. I know it was for some sort of razor. The guy was shaving. The guy was shaving, and then he cut himself. And then it says, "Gotcha!" in big red letters on the screen. It goes, he cuts himself shaving, and then it says, "Gotcha!" Remember that one? Now that was terrifying. That was horrifying. Because he gets this look of pain on his face, and it does a freeze frame on it. See, he's like, it does a freeze frame as he grimaces in pain. Now, I'm going to get into the really scary ones. Now, here's one that everybody remembers being scared of. Here's one that everybody remembers being scared of. It was for TV Guide back in the 70s. These commercials for TV Guide back in the 70s. And they had this sound in the background going, and everybody remembers being scared of those. It's like a Moog synth making that sound. And the voiceover guy was some guy that sounded like Dan Rather. His voice sounded like Dan Rather, and he was talking over like this Moog synth sound that went like, and everybody remembers being afraid of it. And here's another one everybody's always afraid of. It was the American Lung Association. There's the PSAs for the American Lung Association. They had the life and breath sign at the end, going And that's another one that's like the TV guide commercials. Everybody reports being scared of. And now I've built up to the scariest one of all. That's right, I've built up to the scariest 70s TV commercial of all time. Just counting the 70s, because what other decade is there but the 70s? I mean, the 70s was the coolest decade of all, right? So, the scariest commercial. Here it comes. Here's the scariest commercial ever. Boom, 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 boom. Did that scare you? Did that scare you? That's right. I'm talking about the Dow Antifreeze commercial. Dow Guard. Remember Dow Guard? Is it antifreeze and coolant that Dow put out? They had this commercial when boom, 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 boom. It showed this big red antifreeze bottle going boom, 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 boom. And that is one that everybody who remembers that commercial at all, they recall being absolutely terrified of it and running out of the room. And I remember that commercial too. It was scary because the antifreeze bottle looked like it was about to explode. It was doing that for like 30 seconds. The whole length of the commercial was doing that, just about. And you never knew when it was going to explode. It was going boom, 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 boom. And the thing is, everybody remembers that commercial. But I think some people, it's finally up on YouTube now. It's from 1976. It's mixed, it's in a group of other commercials, including the Gotcha commercial. It was from 1976. It was a commercial for Dow Antifreeze. And I remember seeing this back when I was about 3. And now, a lot of people, I think everybody remembers it, but a lot of people just won't admit it. You know, they're afraid to confront this part of their past. They have repressed antifreeze syndrome. They won't admit that they saw this commercial. You know, they want to keep it hidden in their past, so they don't admit that it's there. But it's out there on YouTube now, and I can prove it to you. It's the Dow Guard antifreeze from 1976, and I saw it. I looked it up on YouTube. I was looking for it. I wanted to find it, and finally I found. It gets to the commercial, and I start hearing the sound effects, the boom, 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 because it has the camera like going through like a maze of like motor oil and gasoline bottles, and I'm thinking, is this it? Is this it? Is this the one I've been looking for? And then finally it gets to the big red antifreeze. There's the huge red antifreeze bottle towering over all the other bottles. And then I'm like, it's here, it's finally here. And it's like one of those moments where you're just in disbelief. And I remember, like back when I was growing up, this ad used to come on. People, you know, you'd be looking at the TV, that ad would come on, you start hearing the sound effects, and then it would start showing the big antifreeze bottle going boom, 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 and you'd be sitting there like this, like that, looking at the TV. Is it over yet? Is this commercial over yet? And you'd be going, it's not over yet, I can't look. It would be like this, like peeping through your fingers just to see if it's over yet. But that was an antifreeze commercial, and it's still a little bit scary. I mean, I was starting to get shivers going up my spine when I found it on YouTube, because I mean, imagine a memory of a scary commercial like that you haven't seen in 35 years, then all of a sudden you find it on YouTube. So that's the story of your favorite scary commercials. Boom, 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 boom.